Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. Bob here. Thanks so much for stopping by. So the other day I was at Red Bar Toronto, and if you're not familiar with Red Bar, it is a get-together for watch enthusiasts. They hold them in a bunch of different cities. It's just a fun way to meet people in the hobby. Maybe you get to see some watches you might not otherwise be able to. And a friend of mine there, Mike, had a couple of these Tuna Homage watches. They are the Oceanmasters from Merkur, and I was just really surprised by the build quality of these. Now, whether you're into homage watches or maybe you're totally against them, I just thought it would be fun to see what you get for this price range, which is right around the $200 mark, plus or minus. So a big thanks to Mike for lending these in. Let's get into the watches. All right, so I've ran into these watches a few times on eBay. They do homage watches to a couple of different Seikos, and to be honest, at the time, I just immediately passed them over. But Mike, who, by the way, has a nice collection of watches, including two legit tunas, he has the Emperor Tuna, and I can't remember off the top of my head the other, but he was impressed with them, so I decided to take a look with you guys. Now, one thing with these two, and from what I've read on the forums, it's right across the board, is the fit and finish is really well done. A big weakness and a common complaint with Seiko is QC when it comes to their alignment, especially with the chapter ring and the bezel. Both of these are spot on. The date is centered perfectly in the date window, and they have a solid feel in hand, especially when using the moving parts like the bezel and the crown. When it comes to the dimensions, both of the watches are identical, so I'll just focus in on the steel version here. So this one comes in at a case width of almost 47.5 millimeters. The lug to lug is a little bit shorter. It's sunken in from the case, so it comes in at 44 millimeters. The lug opening is 22 millimeters, and the thickness is 14.5 millimeters. The water resist on these is 200 meters. We have a domed sapphire crystal with AR, and it's kind of funny in a way, but they're actually using a Seiko movement with the NH35. The dials are very similar as well, other than the white chaptering that the black model has here. But up top, we have the applied Merkur at the 12 and Oceanmaster Professional 200 meters at the 6. The hands, hour markers, and even the bezel is fully loomed. And actually, before I show you the loom, let's talk about the bezel here. And we'll swap over to the black model here just to get a bit of a different look. But the bezel is a 120 click unidirectional bezel, has really nice action. And speaking of unidirectional, I'm actually using a unidirectional microphone right now. My neighbors have a major construction project going, so I'm trying to get rid of some of that extra noise, but you're not able to hear the action very good on the bezel because of that. So let me just put it behind here, and hopefully you can hear that a little bit better. Nice clicky action. And I've brought it back to the 12, so we have perfect alignment on this one. And again, all the markings on the bezel are fully loomed. I wish I had the real deal counterpart to compare here, but this is a pretty dang close to the Seiko loom. They're using C3 Super Luminova. It has that initial fade like most loom, but stays visible deep into the night. One little touch that's kind of different is they have their logo on the counterbalance of the second hand, and they've loomed it, which is pretty neat. The cases on both of these have a really nice finish. They've engraved on the side of the shroud here, Merkur. We have the crown signed with the M, and the case back is engraved with the pirate's head there. The straps are a really soft rubber. They are signed with Merkur on the hardware there. So they've put together a really solid watch here. So let's close this out with a wrist shot and a couple last thoughts on the brand. Alright, so here is the steel version. For the size, just like the original Tunas, these wear a lot better than what you would think. The question is, should you buy one of these? And for me, I'd definitely take the original over the Homage, but I couldn't blame someone for picking one of these up. Where it lacks in original design, it certainly makes up for it on the spec sheet. So if you're a guy like Mike that owns a couple of tunas, a couple of legitimate Seiko tunas, and maybe you don't want to knock them around, these can be a good alternative for a knock around, sort of a beater watch. So taking the Seiko design out of the equation, it's a seriously well put together watch. But what do you guys think? Is this a straight ripoff in your eyes? Is it a good value purchase? There's definitely arguments on both sides, and I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below. So that's it for today, guys. Appreciate you stopping by, and we'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.